Oh, hold it. I blinked for a second and I wake up and
Here we
who's
are.
on my screen? My friend.
I came to haunt you.
He's Dewey Freeman. I'm Mark Sylvester. This is
Good
show
morning, gentlemen and ladies.
99.
99. Crazy.
Think about that for just a second.
Well, here's the piece that I thought about when we were talking about this. 199 means each show is approximately an hour. So we've spent that much time, 99 times an hour, plus all of the, like planning and what are we going to talk about?
Well, we do
that
extensive preparation for the show. I mean, there's makeup, there's a whole crew. I mean, there's
A
5
whole
people
crew.
watching me right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. But here's what I also want to really, I want to see you and acknowledge what you do behind the scenes. You take every show, you have show notes on it, you upload the recording, you make sure, I know that you go through and edit some things. And you give a topic, you do a summary, and you're amazing at doing that. So
Well, thank you.
It's not only the time that we put here, there's extra time spent, and the truth is you spend a fair amount of extra time producing and putting things together, and this show would not be happening without you.
Well, thank you, my friend. I feel like it's a small price to pay for getting an hour of therapy with you.
I haven't sent you my bill yet.
I haven't sent you my bill yet.
I know. And I hope you don't, because I'll owe you money. So,
Yeah, I was a chef my whole 20s, and I'm so thrilled that I had that opportunity, and then went into software and learning how to work in an office. But as a chef, what's very, very interesting, and anybody who's created a meal, or let's say anyone who's created a meal for guests, so everybody could relate to that. How much time do you spend planning, thinking, inviting them, shopping, preparing, chopping, cutting, cooking, cleaning the house, setting the table, doing all the things you do, and the event happens, it's gone, they're done, and then you're cleaning up, putting the stuff away, mopping the floor, turning out the lights. The percentage, I think it's one of those 80-20 deals.
at
And
least
80% of it is, and many cuisines are very production heavy, like Chinese food, for instance, is lots of stuff. And I learned long ago that to enjoy the 80%, like really enjoy the 80%, so I could show up for the 20%.
Right. How much do you enjoy that? The preparation.
Oh, to
And I'm
me, it's
asking this for a
everything.
reason.
I've long ago learned that my favorite part of the journey is a big part of it is the anticipation, like the looking forward to something. I learned long ago there were only 3 things that you needed in life: have someone to love, something to do, and something to look forward to. And I find that something to look forward to is, and my question, and you may have heard me because I've fed you several times, how was the first bite?
Yes.
Because I know they were looking forward to coming to the meal. So I'm thinking about it's not me as the person is coming to the thing. So I'm really interested in how was the first bite energetically and savorily. That's a word. Because that's what I'm, I love it that someone likes the food I cook. Um, but how
Well,
much do I love all of that up to something that lasts 3 seconds?
well, the first bite on a scale of 1 to 10 is always somewhere between 12 and 15.
Thank you. Thank you.
And um, not only because of how amazing it tastes, but because of the love you put into it.
Mm, mm.
Here's what's an interesting piece as you were talking. And I think this actually will slide into what we speaking about today. Do you know Andrew Huberman? He does a Huberman Lab podcast.
I don't.
He's high-level neuroscientist out of Stanford. Does a lot of stuff on neuroscience and fitness and diet and microbiomes. He's actually wonderful to learn from. Dopamine is the substance that our bodies release that we call our pleasure substance.
Mm.
It's like when something really good happens, our bodies get flooded with dopamine and we feel good. One of the studies that was just done, and it was a very extensive study, was that the dopamine that's released in the preparation for something and in the process of getting to something is substantially higher, like to the order of 2 to 3 times as high as the actual event
Mm.
itself. And so in the preparation of food and the love that you put in, and it's like the level of satisfaction that comes with that because you're in the moment doing that is ultimately, even on a neurobiological level, a higher level of satisfaction than
Mm.
the feeding. And what it speaks to me is the level of how many times men want something immediately, like boom, here it is. And if I don't get it in the next 13 seconds, then I'll never get it. And the the process of getting to something, of building to something, of learning something, of creating something is is oftentimes gets put aside for the I just want to get there. What do I do? How do I do it? And the um, where we're actually built to savor the process more than we're built to get to the end product. Even going back
Biologically.
biologically, yes. And I mean, even to the point, a couple quick things is like the hunt and truly in hunter gathering
Right.
times of history, the hunt is actually what brings the greater joy than the actual kill. It doesn't mean we don't need the kill, but it's like that the hunt is incredibly important. And the same way as like one of the pieces he spoke about was that work is incredibly important. That people who inherit huge amounts of money oftentimes find themselves
Mm.
depressed
Mm.
because they don't have to work. There's no effort in
The
getting
thrill of the
something.
chase.
Yeah, the thrill of the chase, the effort of learning, the process of the work of
Yeah.
doing what we need to do. And one of the things in therapy has been there's a bunch of stuff out there that is like doing shortcuts. It's like, can we get to,
Hacks. Hacks are more popular than they've ever been in all aspects of our life.
yes, and which actually leads into a lot of the stuff of the the digital age, I won't, it's like, I'm going to text you and I want something back in the next 3 minutes. And, or if we can't put this together in X amount of time, then it's not worth doing. And it's really, I think, a gigantic piece that is affecting people's lives of not having access or the patience to be in process, because we need to be in process.
So I wonder, I 100% agree with all of that. And thinking back 15 years to when the iPhone was released, and we had portable phones before that, maybe only for 10 years before that. Someone will fact check me and say it was 11 or whatever, but we had a little flip phone, so we had communication tools around us, but we didn't have the distraction of them. If someone rang, yes, you could let it go to voicemail, but most of the time we're so Twitch centric. We go, oh, yeah, oh, okay, yep.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 15 years, which is nearly a generation, the impact that having a computer in your pocket or at your behest is led to something that some people call an always on culture.
Yes.
And the oh, I got to respond, I got to reply, I got to you get into that kind of loop. And I check myself often to say, am I reacting to all of this as just an old guy who's complaining? Right? back
I would
back in my
clearly be the
day,
old guy that complained.
we didn't have phones. We had to send carrier pigeons. It's not like that. It's that we have become so fundamentally distracted from the here and now that this was so evident. I've spent several hours over the last week in airports, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do an official study, but I think it's fair to say 95% of the people that I saw were on a mobile device.
Easily.
And they're sitting with people they're traveling with. And there was one specific part where, because I noticed that a lot, couples go out for dinner and they're both on their phone. Like,
Which I can't even imagine doing, but yes, I
but
get
we
it.
were the four of us, we were talking because we don't get that much time, the four of us together, like in real life. And it was so much fun to just talk and laugh and share and be like that. And then I was just looking around and I said, is anybody else? Like literally nobody was talking. And they're all majority of them traveling in pairs.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one part. And I'm guilty a lot of the time of doing that, but I also take time to, like, turn it over. And now the iPhones are designed so they're always on. So you don't have to turn them on to see something like the time or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
they're always on. And so they're always able to distract you. And I wonder if all of that, you're a scientist, that's all that Brownian motion that induces, which is kind of always this, contributes to this constant state for most people of feeling overwhelmed.
Explain that motion that you talked about again. The what motion?
Oh, so Brownian motion
Brownian
is,
motion
yeah, Brownian motion, something's like, just
is
it doesn't
always
stop.
vibrating.
It doesn't
Right.
stop. Just going like that. Just going.
Well, I think yes, it does create feeling overwhelmed. It does create like we're always on, and there's actually an expectation that we're on.
Yes.
It's not just there's if I don't get back to somebody within X amount of time, usually it's a couple, 3 hours, I will often get times get a second text of, did you get my text?
Are you
Now
still
there
alive?
are you still alive? And it's like, um, and it, I mean, there's clearly advantages to having a a smartphone of some sort to communicate, to have some level of connection. There's also an over the top expectation that we are supposed to respond all of the time within a certain period of time. And um, yeah, I don't know about other people. I certainly feel overwhelmed by that at times. And it's also 24/7. When
Yeah.
I just want, when I first started in private practice, I actually had an answering service that would answer calls coming in and take messages. And then periodically I would call in and get the messages. You know, Mark called at 9:08 and wants you to call him back. You know, Susie called at, 11:10 and needs to change her appointment. I mean, all of those things. And it was sort of amazing. And because there was actually time and the expectations were different.
I think it's fair to say that there's a communication continuum to the person who gets back to you before you hit the send button.
Mm-hmm.
Right. There are those people in my life. They're like, I know they've set the expectation by their behavior that they'll get back to me right away. It doesn't matter. Another very good friend of mine lives in the UK. It kind of doesn't matter when I text him. Where Kimberly is very cognizant of the time zone of the receiver and won't send something because it's inappropriate to send something at 11 o'clock at night,
Yes.
which is fair. So I think we set that expectation. If we're always on ourselves, then we kind of project that, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
we expect that. So I think people could start thinking about, I don't need to respond immediately. I can look at it just to see. Like, I'm thinking of texts. I can look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Kimberly did not want me to get this. She said, as soon as you get that watch, I've lost you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that was a learned behavior that if I'm talking with her and it's vibrating, just I'm fine. I'm going to be present right now. So I think there's a bunch of new behaviors that we have that are actually cultural, right? They're how do we as a society, how have we as a society looked at this? So I think there's one of it is around work, one of it is around family. I've been in meetings where someone will say, "Excuse me, it's my wife. I have to take this." Or, "Excuse me, I've got to take this."
Mm-hmm.
So either that's just a reflection of where we are today, that it's just things are moving so quick, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
can we? And then I have a lot of people that I know, they have a 24-hour rule. It is 24 hours. So I know they'll get back to me, and I know that they set aside time in their schedule where they do their email or do their texts or do that kind of stuff. And I don't really have a shorthand for it, but that's a little field in my internal database of everybody I interact with on how responsive are they. If they're not responsive at all, like they're never going to get back to me, or they just don't. I just know that about them. That's on one
Mm-hmm.
side. That is no reflection on a relationship. It's just that's not a priority to them. And then there's the ones that are twitch sensitive, and they will always do that, and then where everybody is in between. I
Mm.
want to shift us a little bit
Yeah.
to um, this sense that there's so much information that part of it, I think, is a fear of missing out, FOMO.
Hmm.
That it creates a sense of FOMO. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Like, did you hear what happened? Well, no, what happened? Well, I don't know what happened. Oh, so such and such happened, right? Because we have the alerts, right? So I turn off notifications because I'll get to it when I get to it. The news is the news. It's fine.
I turn off all my notifications.
Yeah, yeah. So I've done that. Um, however, I think that contributes to us feeling like there's just so much going on. And yeah, on any given day, there's how many billion people living on the planet. And if you're as tapped into that as you are, you're going to feel like there's a lot going on. And mostly none of that contributes to what you need to get done, your list of stuff that is
Right.
feeling overwhelming to you.
So what I wonder about is how many of the people like that will be listening to this feel like their life is run by notifications, by text messages, by some breaking news, by um, I mean, all of those things, which actually, interestingly enough, the truly can set up a system or a situation where our primary process is with our phone, our primary relationship is with our phone and whatever information is coming in, versus the primary process being with those people that we love.
Mm. Whoa.
And it's sort of in my mind, it's actually sort of a big deal. The um, if our primary process and our primary relationship is with all of the information that's swirling out there, and even the information that's false and fake information,
There's all of that.
it actually puts our nervous system in a place of panic. It puts our nervous system in a place of um, of being in that what's called the sympathetic autonomic nervous system of fight or flight. We've got to get this done.
Mm.
And which leaves us with very little underlying foundation of which to have other relationships with if that's where we're at. Like I will have people come into therapy, and if somebody is a parent, if somebody is, they have 3 younger kids or something like that, it's like, you gotta leave your phone on. If you get a call from the school, I want you to be able to get a call from the school. But I have had people come into therapy where they're literally paying me a lot of money, and they're texting business stuff, and they're texting when is dinner, and I will end up saying, you need to shut your phone off, kind of thing. But it's a big deal.
This is such a huge topic, as uh, I feel that there's so little time outside of work. So work's work, work's work. I'm thinking of
Hmm.
first responders, and I'm thinking back in the day when people had pagers and they got paid to be on call, right? So
Yes.
the pager was there. We need you. The baby's gonna be doing an hour. Get your butt to the hospital. Most of us are not on call. like 99% of us are not on call. So let's stop living like we're on call, because we're not. That's a story we tell ourselves that's not true. We're
That
not.
is
We're
accurate.
not on call. Now that I think about it, the more I think about it, is we're not on call. Unless you are, and then if you are, totally legitimate. But when you're at dinner with your spouse or your family, I love my niece has a no phones rule, like hard no phone rule, like Uncle Mark, no phones at the table. But I'm looking at
Nice.
Uncle Mark, no phones at the table is no phones at the table.
At the table.
Straight up. If you can't remember it, doesn't matter. Look it up later. Whatever it was. Oh, okay. Thank you. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And so saying that, so we're not always on. So as much as you say you are, you're not. Unless you are, and then if you are, don't be distracted by humans. Just just do that. I want to talk a little bit about this story we were told about technology, was that it would reduce the amount of work we had to do, thereby freeing up time for us to do with as we please. Recreational time. Hey, look at the smile. But that was the Jetsons' future we were promised, right? Technology is gonna do all these things for you, so you can do. Yet it's had the inverse effect on our lives.
What do you think has happened that it has had that inverse effect? How's that happened? What's behind that from your perspective? Because it has. I get people texting me at 1:13 in the morning. So
And I have a lot of friends who turn off their phone to go to bed.
yeah.
Yep, turn off the phone. So there's a lot of wellness experts and a lot of people who will help us regulate all of that. And people should go listen to those kind of things. I'm really interested in this contributing to the sense of feeling overwhelmed. And I have so many things to do that I'm frozen in time. I mean, I don't know which one to do first. And then I'm because I'm constantly interrupted. Constantly interrupted. And so if you're feeling overwhelmed, one of the things you can do is there on an iPhone, there's this concept called focus. And you can set your focus that for the next hour, everything's off. I'm in focus mode. So there's all different kinds of focus things. So you can actually control the technology rather than controlling you. But moreover, I think it's dedicating, say, this thing that I want to do is going to take me an hour. I'm going to dedicate an hour. I've gone so far as to set a timer. You have an hour, and then I'll keep track. Did it take me more than that or less than that? So I get better at estimating how long it takes me to do a thing. And then once I'm done with that thing, I feel, like I've doesn't matter what it is. I got that thing done. I don't feel overwhelmed because it's not spinning. And so one of the strategies that we've found works really well when you're feeling overwhelmed is we sit down, we have a piece of paper in front of us, and we'll ask each other, hey, what's making you feel overwhelmed? And then they'll say whatever it is. And then either I write it down or I don't, and then she'll say, hey, what's making you feel overwhelmed? And we go back and forth, back and forth and back and forth. Might take 10 minutes. Doesn't take long until you've said everything. You got everything, all this. I didn't do this. So-and-so's waiting me for this. I got to do an email. I've got to this. I've got to, it's just all those things stacked to where there's no space left to deal with it. And everything is just feels like it's hitting the top of the pile and falling off. 10 minutes is all it takes. And you can do it by yourself. Hey, what's making me feel overwhelmed? Write it down. And then don't judge. Don't judge. What else? Don't judge yourself. What else makes me feel okay? Next. What else? Next. And no judging. It's called noting, about noting. You just boom, 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 boom. And then you've got a list of all this stuff. And there's something that actually feels very liberating about getting all the stuff out of your head for a minute and onto a piece of paper. Because then you can rationally look at it and say, okay, I'm telling a story to myself that I'm overwhelmed. Because when I actually look at the list, and if I put a little time right by next to it, I might have 8 hours of things to do and only 2 hours to do it. So now I'm going to triage those things and I'm going to figure it out. And now I have a plan. I know what I'm going to do. And even though I'm busy, I don't feel overwhelmed where someone else, here's what it is. It's that someone or something else is in control of my attention rather than me. There you go.
Right. There's also I like the fact that you oftentimes come up with very simple, straightforward solutions. There's also another piece of this, I think, is that we value being busy. I cannot tell you how many times I will say to somebody, hey, how are you? Oh God, I'm so busy. And it's like we value being tired. It's like, I'm so tired and I'm so busy. And it's like, instead of saying, I'm excited about something, or I'm working on this, or
I'm thrilled to have so much business.
Yeah. And the idea of busyness is it's almost like this red badge of courage. And what I'm wondering about is if many people actually allow the overwhelmness so that they actually can speak to being busy. If that makes sense. And instead of going, yeah, I laid down on the couch and took a 20-minute nap. Go ahead.
No, I'm just, there's guilt associated with naps.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, actually, one of my favorite things is, as many of you know, is that I live on the side of a mountain in Colorado at 7,500 feet, and we're north facing. So we get, especially in the winter, our weather coming in is oftentimes worse than like down Denver or other places. And there is a part of me that about this time of year, I'm going, okay, I've had enough snow. But there's another part of me that it's like, when we get a dump of snow, I get to focus on just working with that. I get to focus on, clearing out space for my horses and clearing out the route up to where my horses are, clearing out the road. And it's like, I get to just focus on that. I don't have to be,
not a burden.
Yeah. What needs to happen? And actually you talked about, there's a focus thing on iPhones, my biggest, and there may be a way to do it that I don't know about, but my biggest complaint about iPhones is that there's no way to have an automatic response to a text.
Oh.
And Um, but it's like, how are we going to, and how can we carve out time to be in relationship? How can we carve out time to be in relationship with something other than our phones? Because I mean, Kimberly and I go out, and when we're at dinner, or we love to go to breakfasts, and it's like we have our phones with us, and sometimes we even pre-plan. It's like, well, let's work on this project, but we are not sitting there chit-chatting on our iPhones to other people or looking this or that up. And I can't, it's like, I don't know what could be satisfying about going out with your mate or a friend and sitting on your phone, texting or looking other stuff up. It's just like, why? And so I think that there's another piece here around looking at some of what's going on with the world of electronics and the digital age that actually creates dependency and addiction.
I think you said it very eloquently. And I think if we reflect, is your primary relationship with your mobile device or with the human in front of you?
Yeah.
Right. And I
Yeah.
think if our listener just takes today, and ironically, they're listening or watching us on a mobile device. But when you're done with the show, because it's so important that you finish to the end, and please don't interrupt us with any human stuff. Uh, if today, if they, it doesn't mean I'm not one of the people. It's like throw the phone away and do the thing. Just examine and be realistic about the relationship you have, and know that
Yes.
that life is way better with humans than it is with robots.
Yes, exactly.
My friend, that is the end of our 99th episode.
So inside me, I just had this well of gratitude, just like wash over me of the level of connection, camaraderie, brotherhood, and uh, creativity of what we have put together over the last 99
Yeah.
episodes of time. And I also am incredibly excited that on the 23rd, we're doing a live 100 show.
Yeah.
And
100 people on the Zoom.
at least. And I think we're going to get that. So,
Yeah.
um, uh, so tremendous gratitude to you.
Yeah.
And to Men and Civilized, Traver, and to everybody that has listened to this.
Yeah, we appreciate the support, and I just a personal note, I look forward to this all week long, getting to have a chance to explore, and as we've talked about, having a man in your life that you can talk to about
Yep.
about the higher order bits in life, the things that are truly important. Lots of stuff's important, but being able to have someone that you share values with is probably the most important, and I appreciate that. Okay, love you,
Thank you,
brother.
sir. Love you. I'll talk to you soon.